So, what would a conversation about Boogie Nights be if we're not, we gotta not spoil the film. Sorry, folks. Definitely just pause the video, go check out Boogie Nights. You gotta see the movie. It's amazing. But what would a conversation be if we didn't talk about the final shot of the movie, James?
Oh, that's good. So you know me. You know my reputation. 13 inches is a tough load. I don't treat you gently. That's right. I'm Brock Landers.
Drive-by movies. My name is James.
My name's Blaise.
And never have I ever seen Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights.
Love this part. New Line Cinema presents a portrait of 2 decades in the life of a business, the days of a dreamer, and the nights in between. Boogie Nights.
The story of a young man's adventures in California's pornography industry in the late 1970s and early 80s. So, Boogie Nights, it's a huge ensemble piece. It's been a while, actually, since I watched this, so I had to watch it again. I remember absolutely loving it when I first saw it the first time, but we're not here to talk about if I liked it. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, so Paul Thomas Anderson, or PTA. Some people don't like PDA, but what do you think about PTA is what I ask you. I don't know. I had to get my dad joke out of the way. But Boogie Nights. So it's a movie I know a lot about. I remember in film class, a lot of teachers would spoil like the one shot and then the scene that happens after that. So I knew going into the movie to expect that. And I was bummed because it was such a very impactful moment. But more than that, it's a very impactful movie. This is exactly like the kind of movie that I just really appreciate and stuff. And I'm surprised that it didn't get more Oscar love, because I swear that the Academy usually like eats these kind of movies up, and it's a bummer that they didn't. It's surprising to see Marky Mark in this style of movie, just because it's very young into it, or very early into his career, but he was fantastic in this movie. And yeah, I absolutely love this movie. Like, not really one to give movies stars, but on Letterboxd, like perfect 4 stars. That's just a fantastic movie.
I think you have to preface that you don't even give out 5 stars, so 4-star might as well be a 5-star.
Basically, yeah. I never give 5 stars. A few movies on there have 4.5, and those are like my absolute favorites. But this movie is just so good. I mean, of course, it's a long movie, and there's certain characters that I appreciated spending more time with than others. But just seeing everyone's like rise and downfall, slight rise again, or happier moments, or at their lowest point in their life. There's just so much to appreciate in this movie, and just a fantastic script. And it's just crazy. I was like looking up. I didn't realize that this was based off a short story that is based, or a short mockumentary short film, essentially, that was based on a true porn star's real life. And that just like really surprised me, and just like what a story this is.
I think it's supposed to be, correct me if I'm wrong if you looked into it, but I think it's supposed to slightly be based on John Holmes's career. Dirk Diggler is supposed to be based on John Holmes, because John Holmes got into some crazy shit towards the end of his life. So yeah. I think that's essentially why this movie takes some really weird dark turns towards the end, and puts Dirk Diggler in these situations that you don't really, that you're like, whoa, I started the beginning of the movie and he was just like a nice young guy, and he was making love in those first couple scenes with Julianne Moore, and he just seemed like a nice kid. He was even like, why could you just do it again, boss? Like, to Jack Horner. That's probably my favorite scene, when he's just like he's such a hard worker. He's like, well, we could just shoot it again. It's no big deal. Like he's so naive. And I think that is like that's where I love like Mark Wahlberg's performance in this movie. I don't think the rest of the movie really asks for much more of him, that he's like I don't think it like pushes him to the edge as like, an actor. I don't think anything in Dirk Diggler's character is like much more than like he's capable of doing. Obviously, I really enjoyed, I think, Burt Reynolds' role is probably like one of my favorite, because he's just this kind of sleazy producer, but he's like kind of sleazy but not sleazy, and then he has his own moments like towards the end as well. Like, everyone has these dark moments towards the end, but I think in general, when it comes to this movie, I think what makes it so enjoyable, you already touched on a little bit, is basically the fact that it's such an ensemble like cast and performance, and there's these little like weird kind of moments and vignettes here and there that make it that are so memorable. Even like just thinking about like Don Cheadle's scene towards the end, like that's just such a weird dark scene that almost really has no reason being in the film, but it's there, and it's definitely something that's unforgettable. So I have to say, like, rewatching this thing again, I was like unpacking, you know, a memory that you had that is much better than you remembered, you know, like reliving it again. It's just, this film is really, it's like one of those free. I mean, we talked about Shawshank Redemption. I don't think I was as surprised going back with this one. Like, I think I knew it was always that good, but rewatching again, I realized how much I had actually forgotten about the movie, and it was fun to, you know, relive and rewatch the movie. But Shawshank was something that really caught me off guard, and how much I really enjoyed watching it. And this, I'm like, I know what I'm getting into. I know I'm gonna like this shit, so let's put this on, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, going back to some of the characters also, while I said there were some characters that I liked spending time with more than others, but it's just crazy to think, though, also each character in this movie could have had their own standalone movie, it felt like, because every story was relatively interesting. And when you hear about some of the drama that's like Julianne Moore, her character is probably her, and I'd say Heather Graham, their characters are fleshed out like not as much as like some of the other characters. But when you hear some of their backstory and stuff, it's just like super just like interesting and also haunting, and just like the way I want to hear more about, like, you know, where they're at in life and stuff. You brought up Don Cheadle, and I thought he was one of the more interesting parts of the story too, just seeing that he's trying to like move on and move past his porn acting history, and just, you know, just literally just trying to open a stereo shop. The movie starts off when they introduce his character, he's selling a stereo, and fantastic job, by the way, selling. I would have bought it if I was in the store with you. But just seeing like everything that he went through, and then just seeing the scene that you brought up. I mean, I guess we can get into spoilers because this movie's over 20 years old at this point, but it's just super fascinating, and it's 2.5 hours, but it flew by like that. And by the time it hits the 80s, I guess that's when I realized it was the halfway mark, and the halfway mark, the halfway point of the movie. And just seeing like how dark it turned from there on. Just really caught me off guard, and I didn't like pause it once. I was like, it almost was like a big movie theater experience. Speaking of, I built a movie theater here at my place, and I own the movie on VHS, and it would have looked great on 4K, Blu-ray, whatever, but I own it on VHS, and I just felt like watching it on my theater screen with the old style look, and it was just such a fun watch. But I have really crazy speakers, and I had to lower it like crazy during some of the porn filming scenes, just because it was like, oh my God, all my neighbors are going to think I'm watching pornography right now. But it was just a really fun experience, and I just felt like I was at a movie theater, just enjoying watching the movie from beginning to end and having popcorn, and it was a refreshing watch, I'd say.
Watching this movie again, I thought just seeing like these characters in these interesting situations, it just really gives you appreciation for like the ensemble, because this one felt like this is like one of those really perfect ensemble. And like you said, I don't understand why like the Academy didn't eat this up. I think honestly it probably had to do with the subject matter more than anything. Like it just maybe they felt like it's kind of weird subject matter for a film to be about. And there's just like super dark moments like William H. Macy just come out of nowhere.
Also, Philip Seymour Hoffman, some of his moments too, like he's definitely like a character in this movie. You don't hear his normal Philip Seymour Hoffman voice, and just seeing the outfits, also like costume design, cinematography, color, set design, just everything in this movie was perfect. And it's I don't know what won Best Picture in 1997. I hope it was something memorable. Like I remember there's certain movies that will always like remember, like how did Forrest Gump beat Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption? How did Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan? Like I'm genuinely curious what beat Boogie Nights and stuff. Like maybe it's a big classic that I'm just overlooking currently, but yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and just like I can't keep commenting on how great it was and just keep complimenting it itself.
Yeah, and talking about the year 1997, there are other huge movies that came out at that time. But something interesting is Leonardo DiCaprio was originally probably going to star in this role. He was offered it over Mark Wahlberg, but he took it for another huge movie in 97, Titanic.
Oh, okay, there we go. That's the big movie that won then.
I'm assuming I don't remember if it won Oscars because we'll get to that later. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I was looking at some of the fun facts and just seeing how many other actors were up for different roles in this movie. It felt like the director role that went to Burt Reynolds. Like, Burt Reynolds is fantastic, and I think he's very underrated. I love The Longest Yard, the original one. And just like seeing him in this movie, it was just like I haven't seen him in a movie in a while, and just going back to this and seeing him again, it was great and made me forget how great of an actor he was. But just seeing some of the other actors that were up for that role, because there were a lot of big names attached to it originally, but I'm glad that it ultimately went to Burt Reynolds. And then also Mark Wahlberg too. He's always like kind of has that persona of the badass, the mean guy. I haven't seen too many movies where he isn't playing that style role, and just seeing him as this innocent, like, you know, carefree young kid just trying to make it and just wants to be a star, and then just turn into a crazy drug addict towards the second half of the movie, and just falls into prostitution in order to survive in LA. Just everything that he goes through is just great to see him in that kind of a role. And now I really want to see a cop spy thriller with Mark Wahlberg and John C. Reilly as buddy duos who high-five each other after taking down bad guys.
John C. Reilly, especially in this movie, is like, he's so young, he's so skinny. It's just him in it was cracking me up. Like, he's a class act. So what would a conversation about Boogie Nights be if we're not, you know, we gotta have to spoil the film. Sorry, folks. Definitely just pause the video, go check out Boogie Nights. You gotta see the movie. It's amazing. But what would a conversation be if we didn't talk about the final shot of the movie, James?
Well, I always remember hearing people say, like, dude, the ending, it ends with like a big dick at the very end of the movie. I didn't really think it was going to be the final shot of the movie, but it literally was. But it was just like kind of a powerful moment just because you keep hearing about it. It's like the suitcase from Pulp Fiction. You keep hearing about it. You don't know what's so special about it. And just seeing some of the characters' reactions, like the producer who's funding the guy who's just funding Jack throughout the entire movie. I remember he just asked him straight up at a party, well, like, let me see it. And just that weird little grin he has. Like, I was just like, all right, what is up with this dick? I need, like, are we going to see it? And I kind of knew, like, I was like, I'm pretty sure we are supposed to see it at some point. And it is supposed to be like over the top big or something. And then seeing it at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, like.
Dude, just me, like, even the second time watching this, I knew it was coming, but like, the skin tone isn't right, I feel like, and it looks like straight up like a cave. Like, you remember those Geico cavemen? I feel like legit they took a Geico caveman's dick and just like the dick just doesn't look right. Like, the length, size, that's fine. It's just like, it looks so much like a prosthetic that it looks fucked up to me. Like, sorry, excuse my French, but I just felt like watching it again, I was even laughing more because I'm like, dude, it looks like, it does look real, but it's the color of it is just fucked up. And then like, I couldn't take it seriously. Like, the way it like flops out, it fucking killed me. Like, I was cracking up at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was a little bit of a shocker, but it felt suitable towards the end of this style movie. How do you end a movie like this with so many great characters? And then you just end with just what the big deal of the movie was, literally. So yeah, what an ending. And just like, who do I recommend this movie to? Literally everyone. I can see some people not liking it, but it's a very hard movie to dislike. This is just a great movie that I'm sure anyone can find something to appreciate in. Paul Thomas Anderson, while I don't like all of his movies, but for the most part, I find something to appreciate. My favorite is still Punch Drunk Love, but Boogie Nights is just fantastic from beginning to end. Really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I finally got a chance to watch it. If you haven't seen it, you can rent it through our Amazon affiliate link in the description box below. That really helps out the show. So please do that and come back here and let us know what you thought about the movie and our thoughts on the movie.
And if you haven't already, guys, smash that like button, hit that subscription button and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And also, if you haven't already, we are new to Instagram. Our username is right below. You can read it there. It's also in our description box. You can click the link there. But that's going to conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.